B&K show today, sports fans. I'm Craig Koger.
And I'm Nick Popkins. This is the B&K Sports Talk Show.
And we're going to get it started today with the AL Cy Young Award winner Felix Hernandez, announced a couple hours ago as the AL Cy Young for the year, beating out David Price and CC Sabathia. Do you think Felix Hernandez deserves the AL Cy Young?
Well, looking at his stats, obviously the notable big stat is he went 13-12. He had a 2.27 ERA, which was first in the AL, first in innings, and second in strikeouts. Now, the question we bring this up is he only won 13 games, where the other guys, David Price and CC Sabathia, won 19 and 20 games. So, does his wins matter? Now, honestly, I don't really think it does, because this guy, he pitched his butt off. He, had 2.27 ERA. That's about as low as you're going to get through that many games of a season being a starting pitcher. First in innings, he pitched so that he's not getting out in the fifth inning. He's going deep into games. Second in strikeouts, he's striking out a lot of guys. His problem is he just wasn't on a very good team. The Mariners aren't a very good team. While the other two guys, you're on the Yankees and the Rays, two teams that went to the playoffs, where the Mariners were not very good. They don't have a lineup, and he just didn't have no run support. So I'll give it to King Felix Hernandez for this year. He just outdid those other guys in the stats that matter besides wins. It's not his fault that he's on a bad team. And just like a couple years ago when A-Rod was with the Rangers and he won MVP, everybody made a big stink about that. He wasn't even on a winning team. But here we go again. Sometimes it's not a matter of wins and losses for an individual player. This is an individual award, not a team award, and they got it right.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like you said, this is an individual award. This award is for who was the best pitcher of the year. Felix Hernandez dominated every category. He went deep into ball games. He had the lowest ERA in the American League, most strikeouts in the American League, second strikeouts in the majors. I think pitching performances, if you put King Felix on the Yankees, you put King Felix on the Rays last year, then he would have been a 20-game winner. But like you said, he didn't have the offense backing him up. But I still think he was the best pitcher in the AL.
We're going to switch gears a little bit, Craig. Michael Vick is tearing it up this season. Looks right now that he could be a potential MVP candidate, if not MVP. He's a free agent at the end of the year. The Eagles already signed Kevin Cobb to a long-term contract last season, and they're trying to work out a deal for Michael Vick. So what's this mean for Kevin Cobb and Michael Vick going forward?
Going forward, I think this means that the Eagles, Michael Vick is their starting quarterback, and they feel that Michael Vick can be the quarterback of the future for the next couple of years. I think Kevin Kolb, if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I start looking around and shopping. There's a lot of weak spots in the NFL at quarterback. There's a lot of teams that need a good quarterback, and Kevin Kolb has showed he can play quarterback, and I think the Eagles should start shopping around and exploring some options on him probably at the end of the year.
You're exactly right. I think Michael Vick's going to be their guy for the next couple of years. He signed him to about 2-3 years. This guy, he missed some time, so he's got some plenty of time left, a lot of fuel in the tank left to go a couple more years. He's playing at a high level right now, at highest level maybe any of the quarterbacks. He's always a threat to run the football. He's throwing the ball well. We saw that Monday night game where he was just absolutely perfect. Doesn't get much better the way he played Monday night. He deserves another contract. Whether they sign him this year, they could franchise him also at the end of the year. So that's another year. You're at least going to go. I think you sign him to a 3-4 year deal, and you're exactly right. You need to trade Kevin Cobb. Kevin Cobb's proved he's been had some good quality starts while Mike Vick was out. He's proved last year that he could play quarterback at a high level. So it's definitely time to shop around and Kevin Cobb maybe get some draft picks for him.
All right, and moving on to the NBA, last night the Miami Heat won in dominant fashion over the Phoenix Suns. Chris Bosh scored 35 points, and Steve Nash was held to 2 assists. Is this a turnaround for the Miami Heat?
I don't know if it's a turnaround, but I just want to say welcome Chris Bosh to the 2010-2011 NBA season. You finally showed up, and you're playing for the Miami Heat last night. Now, outside of that, Chris Bosh really did. His 35 really came against a bunch of people that aren't really good defenders. Akeem Morrick's not a good defender. The Suns themselves aren't a good defensive team. They looked good last night. Chris Bosh, it looked like they tried to get him going early. He had 10 points, 10 of his 35 points in the first quarter. So it looked like they tried to get him going early and try to get him motivated and into that offense. So the Suns, or the Heat, I wouldn't say it's a turnaround, but it's definitely a game, and Chris Bosh, welcome to the NBA season.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not quite a turnaround yet because, the Miami Heat, they still got to beat the Boston Celtics. They've still got a lot of tough competition in the Eastern Conference to worry about. It is a good win because they've showed some vulnerability to good point guard play. They had Steve Nash coming in, who's one of the best point guards in the league, and they held him to 2 assists, 17 points. That's not a good game for Steve Nash. I think I'm more impressed by the defense of the Miami Heat than Chris Bosh's 35 points.
That's right. Greg Oden is hurt again. Is he officially a bust, or where do you rank Greg Oden?
I'm not going to say that he is officially a bust because there's still, a chance that Greg Oden could get healthy, could come back and play and be something in the league in the next couple years. But for where he went in the draft and the guy that they passed up in Kevin Durant to get and pick Greg Oden, I think, this does hurt a little bit if I'm the Portland Trail Blazers.
Do you not just feel bad for Portland Trail Blazers? That has to be the most snake-bitten franchise right now. You pass on Michael Jordan, you take Sam Bowie, we see what happens with that. You pass on Kevin Durant, you take Greg Oden, and now this guy's he's just made of glass. He just can't get up and down the court. I wouldn't say he's a bust right now because there's no body of work. There's no body of work. He hasn't even played a full season. I don't even know if he's played a full 82 games in his career combined. So it's not you can't really say he's a bust. He's just a guy that's injury prone. He's made of glass. Guys that are bust, guys that have played in the NBA a long time, guys like Kwame Brown, Michael Olakandi, those guys are taking #1 overall picks, and they're complete bust. Greg Oden, there's just not enough. There's no body of work to say he's a bust. The only thing you can say is he's made of glass. And I just feel terrible for the Portland Trail Blazers. Just a snake-bitten franchise. I just feel bad for them. Switching gears a little bit. Les Miles has said that in the SEC, if Auburn loses, that SEC one-loss team should be playing for the national title. Do you agree or disagree?
I'm gonna have to disagree. If Boise State and TCU both run the table and Auburn loses and Oregon runs the table, I think it's got to be Oregon and either Boise State or TCU. I don't know why Les Miles is talking about this because if Auburn loses, there's 2 one-loss teams, Auburn and LSU, but Auburn beat LSU. LSU is not going to the SEC championship. So either way, I don't think LSU deserves that national title shot. So I don't think that this really has anything to do with Les Miles. But I do think if Auburn loses, then Boise State or TCU's got to get that national title shot.
I totally agree with you. First of all, the SEC, I wouldn't even say is the best conference right now in football. You could say that the Pac-10 is just as good, if not better, than the SEC right now. If Stanford wins out, they would have an argument for this same argument. But I definitely think that Boise State and TCU, they got to be able to play for the national title game. If one of these 2 teams, Auburn or Oregon, lose, which I think Auburn will lose to Alabama next week, so Boise State or TCU could be playing for that national championship game. And I think this is what college football needs, is one of these Cinderella teams to try to play for the national title to finally prove maybe the BCS that anybody can win, instead of it seems like every year some team's undefeated and they're not getting a chance to play for that national title.
And moving on to women's college basketball, UConn beat Baylor by 1 point the other night, extending their streak to 80 games. They're only 8 games away from the UCLA record. You think they'll beat it?
Looking at their schedule, they got 3. They got some easy games, but then they have 3 top-ranked teams. Stanford being the 3rd-ranked team with the 89th, which would be the 89th win if they could beat Stanford. That'd be the toughest game. Last team to beat UConn was Stanford. And they just didn't look too good against Baylor. I mean, Baylor does have Brittany Griner, which she had a nice game. UConn got up big, but Baylor was able to come back. But I think I just got a feeling they're going to lose 1 game along the way against one of those 3 ranked teams, even though all 3 of those ranked teams are at UConn.
Yeah, I think UConn, I think they're going to win their next 8 games. I think Baylor was the biggest challenge for them until the Stanford game. And, if UConn wins the next 8 games, they tie the UCLA record. The game that they need to win to break that record and set the new record will be against Stanford, the team that beat them last. Like you said, it would be a great story. And I think it'll be, excitement and add a little bit into the women's college basketball.
All right, we're going to go into who you got for tonight's game. The Bears and the Dolphins, who do you like?
I like the Bears tonight. The Dolphins are working on with a 3rd-string quarterback, Tyler Thigpen. He's shown he can play, but he's playing against a tough defense, and his offensive tackle, Jake Long, he's hurt. They say he's going to play, but he's still hurt, and that's a good defense they got to play against. I'm going to take the Bears.
I totally agree with you. The Bears look pretty good against Minnesota. The Dolphins, like you said, Tyler Thigpen is starting to start a couple years ago, and Kansas City did decent there. But I definitely think the Bears will win this game as long as Jay Cutler doesn't throw about 5 picks or anything like that. You were exactly right. Jake Long, he's hurt, but looks like he may play. But you got to think Julius Peppers is licking his chops on this one, and I'm definitely going to take the Bears as well. All right, Craig, we got our first email ever, B&K Sports Talk. We want to shout out to Chris Sipes from Atlanta, Georgia. Sent us email in. He asked us, what do you guys think between FC Dallas and Colorado for the MLS Cup?
I'm going to be honest, I don't really get into soccer that much. I don't pay a whole lot of attention, but what I do know is FC Dallas, their last 18 games of the season, they didn't lose. They either won or tied all of those games, and they beat possibly what people think is the best team in MLS, and the LA Galaxy. I'm going to say FC Dallas is going to win it.
I totally agree with you. I don't know much about soccer as well. That's one of our downfalls, but we're working on that. And I'm going to go with the FC Dallas to beat Colorado. FC Dallas, like you said, they beat LA Galaxy, and they have probably the most known guys in soccer, and Beckham and Landon Donovan. If you can beat those two guys, your team's got to be pretty good. I did read that FC Dallas has the second leader in assist and assist for goal assist on their team. So I'm going to go with FC Dallas to win the cup. If you want to be like Chris Sipes and send us emails, look us up on Facebook, B&K Sports Talk, or send us your own email with bnksportstalk@hotmail.com.
I'm Craig Coger.
And I'm Nick Bodkins.
Thanks for tuning in, B&K Sports Talk. We'll be back at you tomorrow.